Chapter and hear about Josh Allen. Sean McDermott says he is not going to practice today. He being his quarterback who was seen holding his right elbow, admitted after the game it was sore after a hit late in the fourth quarter in their loss against the Jets. It's the Bills and the Vikings this coming Sunday in Orchard Park.
He's day-to-day, and the next question will be, is he going to play? And the answer is, we'll see.
Hi, and welcome to the Buffalo Bills pregame show for Week 10 against the Minnesota Vikings. All right. Well, you just saw exactly what I saw when I was seeing it. I had a phone call from a cousin of mine who told me that Josh Allen was out, Tommy John surgery, and I went into panic mode. So I immediately turned on NFL Network to see what the real news was, and it turned out that Josh Allen is injured day-to-day with an elbow injury, which is better than being out with Tommy John surgery. So from my perspective, yay. But other than that, though, it's not good. I mean, it might be a day-to-day injury. It might be something that Josh Allen can play through, but it's something I feel like is going to limit his ability for possibly the rest of the season. I really hope I'm wrong. We can only go day by day and see what happens. Josh Allen's not the only one with injury issues. If you go through the entire defense, Greg Rousseau has the ankle injury. I'm afraid that A.J. Epinesa, Boogie Basham, Shaq Lawson, they're not going to be able to do the run defense as well. Matt Milano's still hurt. Terrell Bernard went in. He looked not that good. I'm really surprised he got the start. I think Dotson should get the start if Milano's out again. And finally, in our secondary, Jaquan Johnson, I mean, okay, he can play, but he's just not as good as a backup coming in, being able to retain the starting role as Dane Jackson was, or even Hamlin has proved to be with Micah Hyde being out. Jaquan Johnson it doesn't have it as much as the others do. We really need Tre'Davious White back to basically just free up the corners that are our rookie corners who have been in there way more than expected. Doing serviceable, absolutely, but just need a break, quite honestly, and they need to be able to be rookies, you know. Okay, so that's the injuries, and I don't know if it's going to get better or worse. We're playing the Vikings. We got to move on. We haven't had a lot of matchups with the Vikings, but man, have we had some great games against the Vikings. 2002, the overtime game with Drew Bledsoe, that very high-scoring game, that Week 2002 game. 2010, we took out Brett Favre. We ended up losing the game, but we ended up leading to Brett Favre's starting streak ending the week later. And then 2014, Kyle Orton had that great win against the Vikings. That was the last home game. But the more memorable one was 4 years ago, when the Bills came in against the Vikings. We were 18-point underdogs, and we all expected to lose that game. It was Josh Allen's second start, and we won. So I was looking forward to this game for months now, because I was like, I think this is going to be a trap game for the Bills, because the Vikings are going to come in probably not that good of a team, and we're going to be favored by a lot, and, you know, we have to circle that game because you never know what's going to happen. Well, the reality of the situation is quite different than I expected. Vikings are 7-1, Bills are 6-2, and they, in some power rankings, have the Vikings even better than the Bills right now, which I think, I'm sorry to say, is crap. Because I've looked at the Vikings matchups, and I'm like, okay, they've beaten the Bears. Okay, the Bears are doing okay. The Packers have been sucking. They beat Washington. They beat New Orleans. I mean, when you really look at those matchups, I mean, look who the Bills have beaten. The Titans, the Ravens, the Chiefs. I mean, it's kind of a no contest in terms of who's had the better competition. So I don't really read too much into that 7-1 record for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins. I've never been sold on Kirk Cousins. I never have. Do I think he's a starter in this league? Absolutely. Should he start? Yes. I think he's really gotten lucky being in the free agency at the right place at the right time. Like he was brought in to replace Case Keenum, thinking that they were gonna go the next step, and they've never been as good as they were when they had Case Keenum, which is very interesting given the situation with this particular game. All right, let's start with the defensive breakdown first. I think Matt MaFleur has basically opened up to the league how to beat the Bills, unfortunately, which is running the ball. They've found a weak spot and they are exploiting it. The Packers were down by 17 points and they ran the ball. I mean, no one does that. But man, then they made it within 10. And I mean, obviously that wasn't going to work. There wasn't enough time on the clock. But that's what the Jets did too. They ran all over us. They took Josh Allen and the offense out of the game. So I see the Vikings doing the same thing, and we need our guys to man up. Whether I would love to get Milano and Poyer back in there, but if Jaquan Johnson and Dotson or Bernard, they're still in there, they got to wrap up. They got to step up to the challenge of stopping the run. And as for the offensive breakdown, the Bills just need to do exactly what they've been doing. I've looked at every game the Vikings have played. Teams are able to run up the score on the Vikings. I don't see the Bills having any trouble with that. Yes, there's some weather concerns. But if we can get ahead, that will stop the Vikings from running the ball. Hopefully, maybe they'll keep running just like the Jets and Packers did. I don't know. Chances are they probably will. But let's, for the sake of argument, say they don't. Because the Vikings, unlike the Jets and unlike the Packers, have a really good passing game with Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. Speaking of Justin Jefferson, that really brings into another topic for this entire game, the storylines between the two teams. Remember the second string movie where the Bills played the Vikings in the Super Bowl? Like, we have Case Keenum possibly for the rest of the season. If they go to the Super Bowl against the Vikings, we might have a real-life movie actually play out. You have the Cook brothers, Dalvin Cook, James Cook. I think Dalvin Cook obviously wins that one. But James Cook has been running a little bit more, so that's going to be an interesting thing. And he might be motivated to step up because he's playing against his brother. Harrison Phillips is on the Vikings now. I think that's just an interesting thing, kind of like when Pat Williams went to the Vikings. Just another thing to note. And obviously that huge one, and here we are so late talking about this, is Stefon Diggs, his first game against the Vikings after the trade. Obviously he loves being here, but that sets up a conversation about Stefon Diggs versus Justin Jefferson, because more than likely we would have drafted Justin Jefferson if we hadn't traded for Diggs, because that was our pick. And honestly, I'm happy with it. And I think the Vikings are too. I think it worked out incredibly for both teams. So good news there, basically, overall. But that also brings back to mind one last thing that'll take up the rest of this video, which is the Minneapolis Miracle. Remember that play? Obviously, Vikings fans do. Last play of the game against the Saints, Case Keenum threw a pass to Stefon Diggs to win the playoff game. And interestingly enough, it might be a Case Keenum, Stefon Diggs kind of day, given the Josh Allen injury. But so far, Case Keenum hasn't really been doing a lot of football. In fact, he's been playing a lot of pranks against members of not only the Bills themselves, but also the fans. Check it out.
Bills Mafia, Case Keenum here again. And the last time you saw me, I was undercover at training camp getting all my teammates. So today we're here at the Bills store. They were gracious enough to give me a employee ID badge. So let's see if we can sell any jerseys out there. If anybody wants a backup quarterback jersey, see if anybody needs any help today. I do, yes.
Do you have the Choose Love shirt?
The Choose Love shirt. I don't know. I kind of specialize in jerseys. Are you looking at any of the jerseys here?
I have a Fred Jackson jersey that I hold dear to my heart.
Oh, cool. Who doesn't hold that? Well, what about if like there was one on sale or something maybe?
Freddie.
What's that?
Freddie Peters.
Oh, so you wear him like every game?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to mess with that.
No, but I was actually gonna wear that Choose Love shirt. But
Oh, you can do the Choose Love underneath the Freddie Jackson, like. Oh, okay.
Well, that was a very humiliating experience for that customer. So, guys, as you can see, we have that customer here with us right now. Would you like to reveal what your name is for the audience? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I can. I am Megan Riley, victim of Case Keenum and his undercover project.
Yeah. So take me back to that day. What happened that day?
I decided that I wanted to go to the Bills store, look at Bills stuff, due to the fact I was going to a Bills game the next day. I really wanted a Choose Love shirt. They apparently do not sell them at the Bills store anymore, as Case Keenum, but at the time was a worker, stated they only sold the essential catch. I don't know what they're called. And so then I asked him where they were, and he said, I don't know. I don't think we have them. He just looked around. He looked like a regular worker. He said, oh, I specialize in jerseys, though. Are you interested in any jerseys? And I explained that I really like my Fred Jackson jersey, and I'm currently wearing it at this moment. And I didn't need a new jersey because I really like my Fred Jackson jersey. He mentioned that a lot of people were getting Josh Allen jerseys. He also mentioned if I had seen this number that was in front of a Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs jersey. The only reason I knew that is because I saw them peeking out from behind like the numbers. He was like, well, do you even know who that is? And I was like, to be honest, I have this little card at home that keeps the numbers and I can change it and whatever.
They edited that part out because that was not in the video. Go ahead.
Yes, they did edit that part out, but it helps me because people change numbers all the time and people get cut and then helps me. And he was like, well, that's the backup quarterback. And I was like, okay. And he was like, what if I sold it to you for 25% off? And I was like, no, I really like my Fred Jackson jersey.
Here it's half off. You want it for half off? Oh, okay. Not even 75% off?
And he just kept going. And eventually he was like, well, why would you want a Josh Allen jersey? And why wouldn't you want the backup quarterback? And I was like, because that would be disrespectful. It would be disrespectful and insult to Josh Allen if I got the backup quarterback, not knowing that he was the backup quarterback.
You guys will do like this ticket holder discount thingy.
Sure. Yeah.
I know the exact number.
Okay.
Section.
Great.
Right. So let's back up a little bit here. So as of right now, 73,000 people have seen the video. That's the amount of a population of a Bills game. How does it feel that basically everybody in a Bills stadium has seen this video of you being tricked by Case Keenum?
At first, I felt like people are going to be like, wow, she's dumb. She didn't know that was Case Keenum. But after talking to more people, they were like, yeah, I would have no idea that was him. One person did tell me, oh, I would know if he was trying to sell his own jersey for 75% off, which I don't really believe, but maybe they would. But now I think it's funny. I still have people who text me and send me the video and be like, did you know that you're in that video? And I'll be like, yeah, that's old news.
Yeah, like what I thought was funny was how tricking your own players makes sense. You know, with his first video at camp, like stand in line with the fans and see if his teammates can recognize him. But how are people like? What's the joke behind people not knowing who you are, not recognizing you? I guess okay, he's on the team.
And so when you actually sent me
right, so the audience before we explain. So we should probably explain who you are in context. I didn't just hunt down and find this lady, people. Okay, this is actually a long time coming here. Megan is my cousin. She's also Sean Lauer's cousin. She's also Danny's older sister. I've known her since birth. If you think back, for all of you who have been watching this since season 1, she was in the credits every episode, season 1, for pictures she gave me. So this is 13 years in the making as well. So
I like after the video was sent to me, I instantly called you and I was like, oh my God, because right after it happened and I didn't buy the jersey. And if anyone's wondering, I didn't get a shirt and graciously was gifted one for my birthday. But after I left the store, I called you and I said, should I, like, it's a good deal. It was like $40.
I'm going to contest on that a little bit. My recollection is Case Keenum, I wouldn't say freaked you out per se, but you definitely were like, oh, this guy kept saying, do you want to buy this Case Keenum jersey? I'll sell it to you for 75 cents, or not 75 cents, 75% off. And my impression was they have a bunch of Case Keenum jerseys in stock. They're trying to get rid of.
Right. And I think the like stitching thing, I was like, oh, maybe they just tried it out. They're trying to get rid of them. And who doesn't like a good deal? 75 cents, 75 cents. I definitely would have bought it.
Right.
But,
And you asked me if you're going to go back, and I was like, well, it's the backup quarterback. I mean, it's more of a collector's item. But if you would have ever said to me, oh, by the way, it was Case Keenum, I would have told you to buy that thing in a heartbeat. Just
right.
so
And I think if I would have been like, oh, yeah, maybe he wouldn't have even had me pay for it. But
he gave the one guy, he paid that one dude $20 for to get the jersey.
What about if I pay you $20 to wear this? Would you take it for $20 and wear it? Are you paying $20? Yeah, you'd wear it? All right, cool. Here we go.
So let's actually talk football now. What are your thoughts about Case Keenum possibly being the starter, especially given your personal experience of having?
Well, he probably should do the thing he said right after my interview, right after he talked to me, where he's like, oh, maybe I should score more touchdowns. Definitely, that's something he should probably work on, especially with the 7-1 Vikings. I think he's gonna have to like watch and learn from like what he sees with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, what he sees with Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. I think maybe not act like Josh Allen with the whole running and him doing the play, and maybe not that. I don't think we're at that level, but I think he could be successful with what he has, like this is a teacher thing to say, but like his resources that he has on the field, he could be very successful, but he can't like get nervous.
And not to mention, he's playing. I mentioned this earlier in the show. He's playing the Vikings, and I know you are a huge fan of the Minneapolis Miracle play.
See,
You called me crying when it happened, and that was the Vikings. So here you go, Vikings fans. Here's somebody who really even was rooting for the Vikings once upon a time.
I don't recall ever, so.
You called me, was like, I'm in tears right now, when Keenum threw that pass to Diggs. You have no memory of that.
Nope.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Before I let you go, can you give me a score prediction for the game that you will be attending on Sunday?
Well, it depends on if it's going to rain, sleets. It's predicted to the weather. I don't know if Josh Allen has like the same bones as like people as they get older, where it's raining, their bones start to hurt. Maybe if he is healthy, his elbow might hurt a little more. I don't know. But also the Vikings do deal with the same weather, unless they're in a dome. Are they in a dome? I don't think they're in a dome. Okay, never mind. But with that, and with Josh Allen projected to be out, but I think it's gonna be very close. I would say like 30, like 31, 35, something like very close.
Who wins?
I'm in my like heart, I would like to say the Bills, but you and I did have that conversation where in the middle of the season they do tend to struggle.
Yeah.
But I think I'll still say the Bills will win because they're going home back to Buffalo. They always love being home, so I think the Bills will win.
Okay. Yeah, this one's tough. It's 7-1 team versus 6-2 team. Who would have ever thought we would have had less wins going into this game at any point this season? Like that's incredible. But yeah, given that though, I almost think that makes it better for the Bills since like they're due to lose. They gotta lose at some point. And the only other team they've lost to is the Eagles, and that was the same night that we played them against the Titans when they tried to do that silly back-to-back, but not
Right.
back-to-back Monday Night Football deal, which was stupid. But I think it's going to be lower scoring, especially with the weather. I think the Bills are going to win 23-20, and I'm going to say that regardless of the starting quarterback, believe it or not. I say if Keenum goes in or Allen goes in, whatever happens, that'll be the score. I think Keenum would love to beat the Vikings. They decided to go with Kirk Cousins, and I believe this is Kirk Cousins' first ever trip to Western New York. I'm nearly 100% sure on that. So I think he's in for a rude awakening from the fans as well. And
Yeah.
final question for you. Are you going to try to get Case Keenum to sign that Fred Jackson jersey while you're at the game?
You know, my life goal would be to get Fred Jackson to notice that I love my jersey so much. But I don't know. Depends on if it's raining or snowing-ish, the weather. Like, he's going to be busy. We'll see.
All
He
right.
might be too busy for me now.
All righty. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hope you enjoyed the experience. This is what it's like each time. So.
It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, you seem very excited. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week for the game against the Browns. Thank you again for Megan being the guest. Hope your life improves after that humiliation. And take care, everyone.